Aleister Crowley, in particular, is known for his association with Pan, who he equated with the number 77 and Oz. One of his most famous works is, of course, the Hymn to Pan. Within the system of Thelema, the Night of Pan, or NOX, is a mystical state that represents the stage of ego death in the process of spiritual attainment. Pan represents nature, lust, and the masculine generative power. The Greek word pan also translates to all, and so he is a symbol of the universal, a personification of nature, both pangenitor and all-begetter. A pantheage, all-devourer, therefore Pan is both the giver and the taker of life. In the year 1912, Crowley joined the Ordo Templi Orientis, or the OTO, and he became the Grand Master of the English-speaking section. On April 14th, 1920, Crowley founded the Abbey of Thelema, along with Leah Hersig, who was Crowley's Scarlet Woman at that time. The object of the Abbey of Thelema was to devote themselves, the inhabitants that is, to the great work of discovering the true will. The religion of Thelema is based on the writings of the Book of the Law. Crowley's influence is and has been extremely far-reaching. One of his disciples was rocket designer Jack Parsons, who has a crater on the dark side of the moon named after him by NASA. Parsons was head of the California branch of the OTO and would perform sex magic rituals at his Pasadena house and initiate fellow scientists at the Los Alamos Atomic Bomb Laboratory. Los Alamos was the explosion site of the world's first atom bomb. Parsons baptised himself Armilius Antichrist Al-Dajjal in 1948. One of Parsons' disciples was Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard. In 1924, a young socialite by the name of Pauline Pierce, the wife of Marvin Pierce of the McCall Corporation, travelled to France to meet her friend Nellie O'Hara. Nellie O'Hara and the man she lived with, Frank Harris, were at that time living with Aleister Crowley. By now, Crowley had declared himself an Absissimus, which relates to being higher than the gods, and was about to partake in a sex magic ritual relating to his grade as an Absissimus. It is more than likely that his assistants for the ritual were Nellie O'Hara and Pauline Pierce. Pauline Pierce returned to America in early October 1924. 8 months later, she gave birth to a girl named Barbara. Barbara Pierce went on to marry George Herbert Walker Bush, who became the 41st President of the United States, and then their son, George Bush, became the 43rd President of the United States. Crowley eventually died in the year 1947 on December 1st while living in Hastings, England. At his funeral, in a non-denominational chapel in Brighton, his most famous poem was read out, the Hymn to Pan, along with excerpts from his Gnostic Mass. Now that we have very briefly outlined Crowley's life, we can examine the 9/11 plane numbers and discern exactly what all this means as relates to the 9/11 ritual. When initiates are born again to become a neophyte in the order of Skull and Bones, they are given names or rechristened. George H.W. Bush was rechristened Magog. Traditions differ as to the nature of the entities known as Gog and Magog. They are sometimes presented as men, supernatural beings, giants, demons, national groups, or even lands. An interesting account of Gog and Magog comes from the Quran. The tribes of Gog and Magog were said to be wreaking havoc throughout the earth until Jul-Qarnayn reached between two barriers and he found before them a people who scarcely understood a word. The local people said, "Oh, Jul-Qarnayn, verily, Gog and Magog are doing great mischief in the land. Shall we pay you a tribute in order that you may erect a barrier between us and them?" Jul-Qarnayn agreed to erect the barrier. "Give me pieces of iron." Then he, when he had filled up the gap between the two mountain cliffs, said, "Blow." Then, when he had made them red as fire, he said, "Bring me molten copper to pour over them, so they could not scale it or dig through it." Jul-Qarnayn said, This is a mercy from my Lord, but when the promise of my Lord comes, he shall level it down to the ground, and the promise of my Lord is ever true. And on that day, Gog and Magog will come out, and we shall leave them to surge like waves on one another, and the trumpets shall blow, and we shall collect them all together. So, according to the Quran, Zulkarnain, who might have been Alexander the Great, trapped Gog and Magog, or the tribes of Gog and Magog, beyond the Great Barrier, to be opened near the end times. Perhaps most relevant information regarding Gog and Magog is that Magog is the name of the evil army commanded by Satan to visit Earth and destroy the kingdom of Christ.
Get ready.
Kick.
Yes, kick. Get ready.
Steal.
Yes, steal. Get ready.
Plane.
Yes, plane. Get ready.
Must.
Yes, must.
A big rescue plan to deal with a big problem. I believe that that this plan will work.
Hello, take position. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Good morning, boys and girls. Good morning, ladies.
Morning.
I have thought would you be the most wonderful guest. Would you please stand and recognize the President of the United States?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? I'd also like to meet the Secretary of Education and the Lieutenant Governor of Florida. We met, didn't we? Good to meet you. Hi.
And this is Mrs. Daniels.
Hi, Ms. Daniels. How are you? Great to meet everybody.
Eric,
Yeah,
what are you doing? Eric?
Good to meet you. Sit down, please. Thank you for standing up. Good to meet you all. Really excited for me to be here. I want to thank Ms. Daniels for being a teacher. I want to thank Lynn for being a principal. I want to thank you all for practicing reading so much. Reading is really important.
and this won't be a mistake. Everybody tell me what this part of the word says.
Rob.
Yes, rob. Now tell me what the whole word says. Get ready.
Robber.
Yes, robber. Get ready to read all these words on this page without making a mistake. Look at the letter at the end and remember the sound it makes. Get ready.
Kite.
Yes, kite. Get ready to read this word the fast way. Get ready.
Kid.
Yes, sound it out. Get ready.
Kid.
Sound it out. Get ready.
Kid.
What word?
Kid.
Yes, kid. Boys and girls, sound this word out. Get ready.
Seal.
What word?
Seal.
Yes, steal. Read these words the fast way. Get ready.
Plane.
Yes, plane. Get ready.
Must.
Yes, must. Let's read these words the fast way without making a mistake. Get ready.
Kite.
Yes, kite. Get ready.
Kid.
Yes, kit. Get ready.
Seal.
Yes, steal. Get ready.
Plane.
Yes, plane. Get ready.
Must.
Yes, must. Boys and girls, pick your reader up from under your seat. Open your book up to lesson 60 on page 153. Fingers under the title of the story. Get ready.
The pet goat.
Yes, the pet goat. Making a mistake. Everybody tell me what this part of the word says.
Rob.
Yes, rob. Sells a pat on the back.
Yeah.
Okay, get ready to read the words on this page without...
Connect the events in the classroom to the events outside the classroom over in Manhattan. Bush and the kids chant plane must fly a hit still, plane must. And around this time, Flight 175 crashed into the South Tower, 175 being 13, which is synonymous with the sun and therefore illumination. The plane hit the building between the 77th and the 85th floors. 77 is the number of Pan and 885 is 13, once again confirming the so-called illumination. All of this happened at 9:03 a.m. 93 is the number of Philema. 3 minutes after this, Bush is informed that the plane hit the building and continues to sit in the classroom as the kids chant, "He ate pans and he ate pains," invoking Pan, and therefore invoking the pillars, the pentagram and death rebirth. since Pan is the embodiment of the male energy. It is also fair to say that the phallic symbol was invoked, and therefore the negative. Interesting to see that the building to replace the Twin Towers will be a giant phallic symbol on a cube. So all the elements attributed to Pan's name by Crowley have come into play as a result of this ritual. Let me say that due to Pan being associated with the pentagram and the fact that he is a goat god, it would seem that he is in all likelihood the male aspect of Baphomet, the hermaphroditic goat-headed deity, which is also connected to the pentagram. According to Aleister Crowley, this is true. So what is also a fact, on the other hand, is that Pan's sign is Capricorn, which is the sign of the planet Saturn, linking Pan with the cube at Mecca and therefore the sphere between the Twin Towers, possibly even the Great Pyramid at Giza.
These wars and this misguided foreign policy, in my opinion, is a symptom of us all going a little crazy back in 2000, starting with the Republican Party. Let me just share there you go. Let me just share some thoughts on this with you, if I may. This is, war is hell. And in fact, let's go to that whole notion. Not only is war hell, but the notion of evil. We historically in the United States, maybe George W. Bush and the Republicans, just for a moment, let's just imagine that possibly they actually went to the dark side. Historically, this five-pointed star was man, right? It meant man. It's the good thing. And if you flipped it upside down, the upside down five-pointed star with the goat, with his chinny chin chin and his ears and his horns, was the sign of Satan worshippers. It was a satanic star. Now, you can see on the American flag, our stars are right side up. All across America, you'll see symbols with five-pointed stars. The stars are right side up, the man stars. But around the year 2000, the Republican Party changed their logo from the stars being right side up to the stars being upside down. Coincided with the coming on the scene of George W. Bush and Karl Rove. Very strange. I think they need an exorcism.
We have confidence because freedom is the permanent hope of mankind. The hunger in dark places, the longing of the soul. When our founders declared a new order of the ages, when soldiers died in wave upon wave for a union based on liberty, when citizens marched in peaceful outrage under the banner Freedom Now, they were acting on an ancient hope that is meant to be fulfilled. History has an ebb and flow of justice, but history also has a visible direction set by liberty and the author of liberty.
The hijackers were instruments of evil who died in vain. Behind them is a cult of evil which seeks to harm the innocent and thrives on human suffering. Theirs is the worst kind of cruelty. The cruelty that is fed, not weakened, by tears. Theirs is the worst kind of violence. Pure malice while daring to claim the authority of God. We cannot fully understand the designs and power of evil. It is enough to know that evil, like goodness, exists. And in the terrorist, evil has found a willing servant. Evil has found a willing servant.
Evil has found a willing servant.